What I learned from President Biden's two mistakes. So President Biden made at least two big mistakes, huge mistakes actually, in regard to Afghanistan, possibly more, but I want to focus on two. And this is opinion, but stay with me because I think you're going to get a lot out of this if you agree. So the first colossal mistake that I think Biden made with Afghanistan is insecurity leading to identity, leading to decision. So let me break that down. So Biden campaigned on being the anti-Trump, being like competent in government, all these years of experience, I know what to do. So he got so wrapped up into that image that he wanted to define himself as the person that undid the mistakes of all his predecessors. He kept saying, 20-year war, I'm not going to give this to the next president. I'm going to be the president that undoes the mistakes of everyone else. He got so wrapped up into proving that he wasn't Trump, that he wasn't any of his predecessors, that he wasn't going to continue the mistakes of the past, that he actually potentially jumped into, I'm not going to say a bigger mistake, but he jumped into potentially a bigger mistake. I mean, it remains to be seen whether it's a bigger mistake or not. But it's a huge catastrophe, just the way it was handled. And I think from reports coming out, there was insufficient planning and or, at a minimum, extremely unrealistic planning. Like Biden kept saying in the administration that, it's going to be a smooth and orderly transition and there's not going to be chaos. And obviously there was massive chaos. So that was his first mistake, identifying himself, boxing himself in so that he had to assert that I'm competent, I'm going to do things differently, I'm going to end the past mistakes. He didn't really, I think, give himself an option. Now, he could have come to the same conclusion but said, I'm not tied to the past, I'm not tied to the future, I'm just looking at things independently. But the way he framed it was kind of like I'm undoing all the past mistakes and I'm not going to continue the mistakes. That gave him, I think, a limited perspective. The second colossal failure was basically lying about, the result. It's plainly obvious to everyone that it was bungled massively, and that people are stuck in Afghanistan that may be killed potentially because they helped the U.S. government. And I don't know if we're even going to be able to get all our U.S. Employees out or not. People have already been killed hanging onto planes and things like that. So at least by that. So he should have gone on TV and said that we made a huge mistake. I'm not saying making a huge mistake pulling out of Afghanistan. That's still to be determined. I mean, maybe yes, maybe no. But in terms of like not anticipating the chaos and basically lying, saying that, there wasn't going to be any chaos, and then saying now that I always knew there was going to be chaos. Like his interview today, I just saw, they showed like quite a bit of it. He said to George Stephanopoulos, we always said there was going to be chaos. It's like there's no way it could have gone out without chaos. And then they showed his previous clips where he was saying as early as last month and before that, there's not going to be any chaos. So if you make a big mistake and you say it's not going to be chaos, just say, okay, I was wrong. Just say, these are the reasons why we thought there wasn't going to be any chaos, and this is what happened, so that I have to revise that. Don't say I never said it when everybody knows that you did said it. That's just ridiculous. And I was going to say I don't think Biden's a bad president. I mean, I think he's done some good things. But I think, this is such a mess. I mean, there's a few other messes also, but this is just such a mess he's gotten himself into. I mean, it remains to be seen. Maybe he'll get himself out of it. I hope so, for the country's sake and for the world's sake. But there's another aspect to this I'm trying to remember that, he said the buck stops with me, but then he goes on blaming everyone else. Don't say things that you don't mean. Like, if you mean that the buck stops with me, explain what mistakes you made, or explain why you're willing to, go through all these losses. Don't say the buck stops with me, but then say, well, the president left the country and the troops wouldn't fight. I mean, those things obviously probably may be true. I'm not an expert on it, but, there are reports that the soldiers didn't fight that hard, and also that the president left the country. But don't say you're taking personal responsibility, but then blame everyone else. It has to be kind of like one or the other.